All right, so today we have got a very special guest with us. It's Vimmal. Vimmal's quickly become a legend in the group, the most nonchalant, nonchalant, mysterious guy, closing deals every single week. So, firstly, Vimmal, it's great having you here. Do you mind just giving a quick overview of who you are, what agency you run, how all that works?
My name is Vimmal. Run a essentially a lead gen staffing type agency. Um, so we do the lead gen for them, and then after the engagement, we'll give them the team to run it for them in house. Been doing this for about 2 years now, but the first year has just been like messy, inconsistent revenue. Uh, like operations was a mess, so still stuck doing everything. But now, like it's a lot more streamlined.
100%. And your version of streamlined is different to other people's. And we'll go into all the automation and stuff in a minute. But I thought we could start at the beginning. I think we first met on LinkedIn. Do you want to just explain what is the situation like with the agency back then? I think it was like 5 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, I mean back then like revenue was inconsistent. So like we were doing like above 10K, but it would go from like 10K, 30K, then back to like 15K,
Yeah,
and then drops down to 10, and then it goes back up to 20. Like it was more of like a glorified freelancer kind of thing as opposed to actually running like a business. So that was like the
yeah,
issue
yeah,
up till about I think 5, 6 months ago.
yeah, 100%. And then obviously you mentioned the inconsistent revenue. I remember when you first spoke, you were doing a million things. I didn't know when you slept. So what were the problems that the inconsistent revenue actually caused in the business?
Yeah, I mean the main thing is because revenue is inconsistent, I can't actually build a team. Because
Hmm.
I have to hire people this month and then let them go the following month before they get like
Yeah,
inundated into the role. So
yeah,
that was like the biggest headache, and I was stuck doing everything myself.
yeah,
And I didn't know how to structure pricing correctly. Like the whole like lead generation on our part, like the entire like marketing side of things was just like say what you can, get whoever you can to come on as a client,
yeah,
whatever discounts necessary, just go ahead. So like I remember there was a time we were doing $1,000 setup, $50 per appointment. That's how dumb it was at one point.
yeah, yeah. Ah, that's rough, man.
So
Yeah,
couldn't really like build anything, and I was stuck doing the service delivery.
yeah,
So you will get a cap eventually after like
mm,
10 clients if you like work 13,
yeah,
14 hours a day, if you do everything on your own. So it didn't
yeah,
make sense at the time.
yeah, 100%. And then at that time when we spoke, what was your goal? What were you trying to grow to?
Ideally, I still want to hit 100K, but
Hmm.
we're not far off now. It's a lot more
Yeah,
consistent. I wanted the agency to be like a proper business as opposed to just me being like a freelancer,
yeah,
like sign clients, churn clients. And I
yeah,
didn't want that.
yeah, 100%. Then we can go into, obviously we had the call, you signed up. Um, we'll go into the good stuff like the automation and the crazy things you did to get your agency systemized after that. But when you first joined, what was the first things that you went through, conversations that you had? What is like the first impressions like for you?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the first impressions, like the operations side of things really helped, especially like the direction, because like I knew what to do, like okay, hire an inbox manager, hire
Yeah,
CSM, do this, do that, but I didn't
yeah,
know like how to do it properly, how to execute it effectively. I had no idea how to
yeah,
hire. Um, prior to this, like for an agency type of thing, and I didn't know when to hire as well. So like that was the biggest headache. Like now it's a lot more, I guess, dialed in. Like, okay, this role is needed at this capacity for this. Like everything's mapped out. The SOPs are mapped out. The operations are mapped out. Even
yeah.
like the more complex side of like things in the operations, like all that's also been like, I guess you can hand it off to another team member as opposed to just
Mm,
me sitting and doing everything myself.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, we spoke a lot, which was good. I think you joined like most of the coaching calls, which was always nice. in those calls, I guess we worked on the ops. What were some of the specific things that we focused on? Just in case anyone watching is wondering, like, what are these guys actually talking about when they say operations?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of operations, like I needed to first like map out, right, like what happens after the client base.
Yeah,
So how they get onboarded, how they get set up, what gets done before we launch the campaigns.
yeah,
How do we launch the campaigns? How do we manage the campaigns? If something breaks, what do we do? If something works, what do we do? Um, and then how do we like end the engagement in a smooth way as opposed to like, okay, we kick them out of Slack.
yeah,
Do you need this? Do you need that over WhatsApp? Like, it's just a mess at the time.
yeah, 100%. So then when you started, we're obviously at the point where it's like inconsistent, stuff is all over the place, working all day. Now we can start with like your team and systems and stuff. How's all that structured?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of team, the biggest one now is just the sales side of things because I want to like start
Hmm.
scaling a lot more aggressively. So I've got two
Yeah,
sales reps, sales manager. I've
yeah,
got six SDRs that get split across our campaigns and client
yeah,
campaigns. I've got one CSM, one campaign manager. I had an operations person, but like because my operations are kind of automated quite a big chunk of it, I needed a developer as opposed to that.
yeah,
So that's like a new one. So yeah, the team is lean. The volume is there in terms of like meetings coming in, clients getting signed, and most of the stuff within the agency has been automated. Uh, at least wherever I can, because that
yeah,
way like I can
yeah,
maximize the ROI per team member basically.
yeah. Let's talk about the automation because I remember, just to give everyone else context, there was one call that you joined, and this is why I was saying the most nonchalant at the beginning of this call. You joined and you were like, I'm not even working in my agency anymore. Everyone's like, what are you talking about? It's like literally everything is automated. I think you gave an example of like the if someone isn't doing the daily reports or isn't hitting KPI, it automatically like sends them a message or hires a different person. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, so that one, the way it works basically is like obviously I need to know what the team is doing. So we have like morning messages, and then ideally they should do an end of day message, but people are so
Yeah,
inconsistent. So I automated like just a simple Airtable form for them to submit everything for each department, whether it be like
yeah,
sales reps, SDR, sales manager, CSM, all that. If they miss it like 3 days in a row, that triggers something that sends me a message to then go and ask like what the hell's going on. Assuming they're not performing within KPI, then it sends another message to then post like all the job posts and stuff, which I've also handed off to like a VA to basically do. And our hiring process is very automatic. So they fill in the form. Based on the form replies, if certain things are there, certain replies make sense, and it sends them like an automated test task based on the role I'm hiring for. And it will see like who's good, who's bad. And then assuming like they're good, then it sends them the meeting link for me to
yeah,
then jump on and do like final interview and pushes them into a database. So I always have like candidates that I can like pull whenever I need, hence the staffing aspect of the offer basically.
mm,
So that's like one of it. The biggest headache was inbox management, especially across
yeah,
multiple clients, because ideally the shorter you reply, the faster you book a call. So
yeah,
I automated most of the things except the actual call booking thing.
mm,
So any like price objections, value, timelines, process, case studies, whatever the case might be, whether it's for us or for our clients, all that's automatic. Until the person says, yeah, sure, I'm free at this time. That gets pinged to the SDR. SDR just needs to book them in based on the slots that get pulled from the
yeah,
scheduling link. So I don't actually need to like think when they're doing it. Same thing with reporting, all
yeah,
that's automatic. The CSM's like presentation that they do um, on the reporting calls, the slides are created based off a template and merge fields from the like Airtable. So like everything basically runs off one click for the most part. So I can like stretch my team members as much as possible.
yeah. That efficiency per person is it's crazy. So on that, last week we spoke and you were like, I literally have nothing to do. What at that point, when you said that and everyone on the call again, like for the past like 4 weeks, were like, what is Vimal saying? In like amazement. What was your day to day like when you first finished all of these automations and all these systemizations? What did you actually have to do to run the agency?
Yeah, I mean, I still jump on sales calls personally because I like it.
Yeah,
But it's mainly like meeting with the team, talking with the developers, like, okay, what can we do to streamline it? Like, for example, another one now is with cold email, certain databases, the data is out of date. So a lot of people that
yeah,
you get aren't actually working in the company. So another thing that we're building now is assuming we get the response that so and so is not in the company. It does like a waterfall enrichment, gets the correct
mm,
name, email, phone number of either the same person or a different person within the same company for that role, forwards the email to them and replaces the lead in the sending tool. So we don't have to like touch anything.
how did you learn
These
this?
like minor things like this. Where
Yeah, how did you learn this? Because I feel like everyone's going to be asking, like, okay, this is insane, firstly, but it's like, how did you even figure out how to do these things? Do you have like a background in programming, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I did do a degree in like computer science, but this is not really
Ah,
heavy programming. Realistically, you just need to sign up for these tools, like either
yeah,
Zapier, Make, or N8N, and play around with the integrations. Like for the most part, everything you use will connect to each other. You just need to figure out what's the trigger and
yeah,
what's the like output from that trigger, and based on that, you can like slowly build the automations out.
yeah, yeah. For someone who's, let's say, they're making like 10 to 30K a month, doing a lot of the work themselves, they're running an agency, something like Facebook advertising for e-com or something generic like that. How would you recommend that they start freeing up their time, start automating things and systemizing the agency if they don't have much experience in the past?
Yeah, I mean, the way I did it is like I think I took your advice. You kind of have to look at whether you can delegate it to someone. Then I heard from somewhere else you can also automate it. So given where my like skill set lies, I always try to
Yeah.
automate it first before I delegate it.
Mm.
But you have to see also like what you can do. So like if you're, I guess like you're better at hiring, training, and like handing it off and managing a team, then by all means try to delegate it first. Just detail like what needs to be done,
Yeah.
and that should be the way.
Yeah. Got it. And you mentioned Zapier, that'd be the first go to.
Yeah, Zapier is the easiest to use. This is basically like
Yeah.
matching the pictures for the most part.
Yeah.
Make is where things start to get a bit more useful.
Yeah.
And then N8N is where you can start doing all the like fancier stuff, like the AI
Mm.
copywriting that we do, the AI inbox management that we do, all that. Um,
Yeah.
all the reporting stuff you could do in Zapier, to be fair. You don't really
Yeah.
need like anything fancy. But automating it is not always the way. Like there's I realized this recently. There's a point where you've over optimized your business that you cannot be flexible anymore.
Mm.
So that's why I'm like looking at what we have now and seeing what can I like essentially remove to make it so that we
Yeah.
at least have like wiggle room. Because if you automate everything, the triggers need to be specific, the inputs have to be specific, the platforms need to be specific. And then let's
Yeah.
say you get a client that doesn't fit into that box, then you're like screwed. Like we onboarded
Yeah.
one client that doesn't use Calendly recently, uses cal.com.
Mm.
So our entire like call tracking flow is just non-existent for this client.
Oh yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Second Vimal story, right? That someone was asking for more info from. Look, genuinely, like guys in the group will be like, "What is Vimal doing?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. Join the coaching course." Like, who knows? But they just hear stories of what you do. Second one, you closing like a 30 to 40K deal up front. Are you able to
Yeah.
tell? You don't have to go into details, but like, what's the story on that one?
Yeah. So since our meeting volume was high and our conversion rate is quite healthy at the moment, I figured let's just try to see how we can collect payments. Because I hate the retainer model personally.
Yeah.
Because like clients have room to kind of like run off, the fear starts to kick in,
Yeah.
and you don't have a lot of budget in case something breaks, which is more common nowadays as well.
Yeah.
So basically, it was like a pay in full of like 3K a month, 12-month term. Managed to get the client to pay in full upfront. And he was like, yeah, makes sense.
Fair enough. How do you actually go about asking for that? Most people are scared to charge like a 2K setup cost.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I was jumping on other people's sales calls and I realized people were selling essentially like less things for more. And
Yeah.
based on the client results that I'm getting, I mean, some of our clients have booked like 150 calls a month. So,
Mm.
like that, all the evidence that it works is there. So, there's no reason why I can't essentially charge what it's worth.
Yeah.
Which is helpful
Fair enough.
because like clients will make or break the agency. So if you sign a bunch of like
Mm.
clients that don't have proof of concept and stuff, like you're never gonna get them results anyway. And it's gonna be a bad relationship from
Yeah.
start to finish.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. And you mentioned such a good point, which is actually getting good results, which is what so many people don't focus on. Do you have any advice for people who they may have clients, let's say they have like 5 to 10, but they're not getting the best results, not absolutely catastrophic, but they want to improve it. Do you have any advice for them on how
Yeah.
to improve delivery?
I mean, so the way I improved it is like I basically brute forced it. So with
As usual.
marketing, the only way you don't get it to work is if you just don't test enough, which I'm pretty sure Alex
Yeah.
Hormozy says the same thing.
Yeah.
So then my goal is okay, instead of signing a client and launching one or two campaigns, we launch as many as possible. So let's say you reach out to marketing agencies, we segment it further. Okay, business owners, that gets segmented further, like owner, founder, CEO, president, partners, board member, depending on the company. And then you've got the marketing department, then you've got the So we like really segment it and we test all the offers possible, offers, value propositions, and copy. So I think like per client, sometimes we'll have like 20 to like 50 different campaigns running at the same time. But because the
Yeah.
copywriting is automated as well, it takes us maybe like 30 minutes to create all those campaigns. So once you have that, you can see like the data coming in, whether it's ads or email or LinkedIn or whatnot. Then you just optimize it from there. Eventually, one of it's going to work. If you
Hmm.
test everything, there's no way one doesn't work.
100%. So start with a ton of volume, potentially quite a few variables so you can get different, sources from there. And then over time, just narrow it down to the highest performing campaigns.
Yeah, basically. So like when we do like email campaigns for clients, we have like 100 to 150 inboxes per client. So it gives us the room for us to like test a bunch of campaigns. Then
Yeah.
assuming let's say you got a 1% lead to appointment rate for that client and you're only using 10 inboxes in that test campaign.
Yeah.
Assuming you put 150 inboxes in that same campaign, the
Yeah.
client's gonna get a bunch like more calls than he needs basically at that point.
Yeah. 100%. And then another thing I wanted to ask, because you were doing not necessarily just lead gen for agencies, but you're doing lead gen and appointment setting. There's a lot of guys in appointment setting who may be watching this who are at like 5, 10K a month. They're doing a setup performance base and they have no idea how to scale. How would you actually get from where they are at the beginning to where you are now, where you're closing 40K deals up front?
Yeah, the way I did it is just ask. Like honestly, if you don't ask, you'll never know. The worst they're gonna do is they're gonna say no.
Yeah.
Like realistically, um, to be fair, I've seen it help where like I start at a higher price, and then assuming like they really can't afford it, like it's too steep. Once you start staircasing down,
Hmm.
like because the value is anchored at let's say 40K for example, and you drop it to like okay, 8K for 5 months, it sounds a
Yeah.
lot more palatable to them because they can only compare it to 40K.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. And the last side that I wanted to talk about was acquisition, because you've never really had an acquisition problem. Like ever since you've been on board, it's like you always knew how to book meetings, you always knew how to close, you were very confident on the calls. Like that wasn't a problem. Um, do you have any advice for people who literally just need more clients, right? and they want to get started with something, whether that's LinkedIn, email, whatever. Do you have any advice for them to get their first 2-3 bookings per day?
I mean, the easiest is cold calling, to be fair.
Yeah.
I remember when I started the agency, I think I signed the first client in like 2 days, just purely from cold calling after starting the agency.
Damn.
So like cold calling is the best because not many people do it. And then if you're gonna
Yeah.
do things like cold email and stuff, you need to look at what you're actually saying because everybody says the same,
Mm.
like, oh, we'll book you 5 to 10 calls on a pay on results basis or your money back.
Mm.
Like I've seen some of my clients' inboxes, there's like 20 of these a day.
Mm.
So it's gonna be quite hard for you to stand out if that's the case, right?
Yeah.
So you need to like look at your messaging in terms of what you're saying. Problem is like you need to know your ICP first before you can determine your offer.
Mm.
This was a mistake I was making as well, to be fair, because I used to do the whole like, we'll get you 5 to 10 calls on a pay per call basis. The setup
Yeah.
is also refundable. Like you can leave whenever you want. Like I was doing all of that, but you needed to like narrow down who exactly can you help because you realize some clients you can get results. Some, even if you send a million emails a day, they're not gonna get a single call.
Yeah.
So once I like figured that bit out, making the offer around that became a lot easier. And yeah, I mean, booking calls became like no brainer. But if you don't know where to start, cold calling is the best because you don't have that much competition anyway.
Yeah. No one wants to pick up the phone. Perfect. So start by defining the ICP, like really understand the clients you can help. I feel like a lot of that will come from having some clients, seeing which ones just tend to get results a lot easier. And then from there, build an offer based on the best clients. Sign more of those and then pretty much just optimize from there. Keep going with the best
Yeah,
clients.
basically.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
in terms of like outbound, I don't think there's anything more honestly than that. Just
Yeah.
figure out who you want to reach out to and then just reach out to them.
It genuinely is that simple. Trying to see if there's anything else that we're missing, but honestly, that's it. But on that, the last thing I just wanted to ask on acquisition is you've obviously, a lot of people, they figure out something that works. So, like, they'll have a script that's booking meetings, LinkedIn, email, all of that. But then you'll come to a call and you'll be like, yeah, I automated LinkedIn outreach. I'm like, what do you mean you automated outreach? They're like, did you automate the sending? It's like, everyone could do that. I'm like, no, everything, like the replies and all that. So, how do you go about scaling something once it's working? Specifically using things like automation just to make it super efficient, like LinkedIn, for example.
I mean, it's with outbound it's basically volume. Like that's the
Yeah.
reason why ads tend to perform better than outbound is because let's say you're spending $100 a day, you reach out to a couple thousand people, you spend $200 a day, you reach out to double that amount. That's
Yeah.
basically how you scale ads. So you have to kind of
Yeah.
use the same logic with outbound as well. So like let's say you have 30 inboxes, the 1% lead to appointment rate, and your conversion rate on those calls is let's say 20%. I think that's standard, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Then now you just have to sit down and figure out how to set up like 300 inboxes, and you've got sizable volumes. Like nobody can really compete at that point.
300 inboxes. That's insane.
I think we
How
got
would
like
you even do
1,002 now, dude.
that?
Now our inbox creation is also
Bro.
quite like automated for the most part, but there's like platforms that help. Um,
Yeah.
like I think there's one Inboxology, premium inboxes, Cold Sir, or Cold Sire, or something like that. But just stick within Google and Outlook.
Yeah.
Don't really like mess around with SMTPs unless it's your own SMTP.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen what happens when we mess with SMTPs. All right.
Yeah, all my clients went, the campaigns went sideways, bro. I think for like 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen it, man. But either way, just to summarize everything. So obviously we spoke a couple months ago. What's been the overall transformation? Just to summarize everything from where you were at the start and then where you are right now on the path to like 100K pretty quickly with your ads.
No, I'm not past 100K yet. I mean, at the
Yeah,
start, it was like, give or take, I would say it averages around 10 to 20K a month.
yeah,
20K being like the best case scenario. But then it will drop
yeah,
back to like 10K, 8K, that sort
yeah,
of thing. Now, Now it's like quite healthy, I would say. We are at like 60, 70K, closer to 70
Nice.
at this point.
Nice.
Revenue is consistent. Clients are on retainers. Clients are a lot happier with the results. Service delivery is
Nice.
like on point. Like we're actually getting results for clients, which is good.
Nice.
Booking calls, like the sale, like meeting volume for us and for our clients is also high. Um, the only thing left to do is just sit quietly and wait, and we should be at the 100K hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Sit, smoke cigars, and just wait for it. All right. Then last thing I just wanted to ask, or second last thing, is if someone was where you were at the beginning, at the 10K, unpredictable revenue, appointment setting, or any sort of agency at all, what advice would you give to them if they want to be where you are now? Automated agency, got your cigars, got your car, nice life.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of advice, like you basically need to try everything, which
Mm,
sounds like the opposite of what like you see on YouTube. Pick a niche, go all in. Like we to this day, I don't think we have sort of like a fixed niche. That might change, that might not change. I don't know. We'll have to see how things go. But like eventually, you'll find like either an unsaturated market or you find like an offer that isn't saturated. So the only way you figure this out is just test. Uh, Assuming like you really can't sign a client, I would try to do it backwards. Try to get a client on like just a pure performance offer.
mm,
Get them to just run the setup on their end, and then you just do the tech for them. And then once you get them as like a case study, like you actually got them results, then now you just need to figure out how to find more of these guys.
yeah, pretty simple, huh?
Yeah, just like the problem is, I think even I fell to this trap where I tried to like go after, like chase after, like, oh, I need to get paid, I need to get paid, I need to get paid.
Mm,
Obviously, I mean, the goal of the business is to make money, but like
yeah,
you need to know also like people need to have a reason to pay you.
yeah. Like you actually need to be good.
Like even if you're
Yeah,
average, you can still get paid, but you won't know until you actually do it.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Okay. Either way, where can people find you? I know you've become an influencer now. Where can they find you
I
on the
mean, you can
internet?
find it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Um, LinkedIn probably that's the main one. Yeah, I think mostly LinkedIn. To be fair, the website,
Mm.
MD Growth Partners. Gonna change that soon because it's ugly as hell, man.
No worries, man. Either way, Vimal, bro, it's been great having you on. I'm sure people are going to get a ton of value from this. Appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon, man.
All right.